Well, hello and good morning. I'm Dr. Julia Royston. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I shall rejoice. I will rejoice. I may not be singing today because my voice is not awake yet, but I will rejoice and be glad in it. God is so good. He has been with us, kept us, and never left us. And we are so appreciative of all that He's doing, not only in my life, but in your life too, as well. So I want to talk just briefly. I'm not going to be long, as the preachers say, I'm not going to be before you long. But I want to talk just a little bit about being a risk taker and what will you risk? What are you willing to risk? There's some things that I'm not willing to risk my life over, my livelihood, my business. Um, but I am a risk taker. I didn't know I was a risk taker until I became an entrepreneur. And whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a parent, whether you have a career, whether you're retired, there are some things that you're willing to risk. You got to first off, what's the problem? Determine what the issue is and determine what the problem is and what's going on. Or why do you feel like you have to take a risk? Don't be forced into it. I tell young people all the time, if your friend is going to do something, are you going to jump in and do it too? Is it worth it? Was it worth it? Just to save face or just to save, as they say, as the kids say, your street credit. But more importantly, I recently partnered with Dr. Vernette Nettles in Montgomery, Alabama, and we had a book festival and a writing expo, a writer's workshop. And when we were planning it, it was a great idea and it was a wonderful idea. But the closer we got, some obstacles came in, some things were slow coming in. Then all of a sudden, it picked up speed at the end. And then all of a sudden, there was another major event in town, and they were like, "Well, we don't know." The venue was like, "Well, you just never know. You're in it all the way in it now, so just go for it." And you never know what'll happen, and you never know what the consequences will be and what the results will be. Not consequences, what the results will be. So we had planned. So first off, we we made a decision. We counted up the cost. We determined how much the venue was going to be, what was it, what we were going to charge vendors, what we were going to charge people who just came for the writing portion. We kept the pricing very low, so it was very reasonable. I had insurance. We had the price of the venue, the price of marketing and promotions. So we really had to count up the cost. And because I had so many authors already in the area, I went for it. I was willing to, as they say, count up my coins, count up her coins, and then we went for it. So we counted up the cost. So whatever your endeavor is, you got to count up the cost. How much is it worth? Sometimes it's worth more than money. It doesn't have anything to do with money. Sometimes it has to do with family and living conditions. And even though it's inconvenient, you counted up the cost of moving mama in, moving your grandmother in, versus putting her in a nursing home. There's a lot of risk that you're taking, assisted living and moving them in your house. And what does that look like? And so you have to really count up the cost. And then you have to plan carefully. To plan it carefully. There's some risks that you can't always plan out carefully. You just have to do your best and go for it because, the best laid plans. But sometimes there are things that come up that you don't plan for. Fortunately, it was a sunny day. It was, I don't know, 70, 80 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. And no matter what activities were going on other places, there were people to come committed to come and support Dr. Nettles and myself. And I say Dr. Nettles first, this is her hometown. This was her city. This was her place. And this was her level of influence. And I wouldn't have done it without her. I wouldn't have done it without somebody local who knew the community and was well respected and well connected. So you got to plan really carefully what you're willing to risk and what you're not willing to risk. So first off, count up the cost, plan carefully, And then even when obstacles come, problems arise, you got to stay the course. Now, you got to stay the course toward the goal. Some of things may have to be adjusted and tweaked. Dr. Nettles and I were in constant contact throughout this entire process, and we really didn't even start till like, we didn't start really till like 2 to 3 months. 3 months thinking about it. 2 months we was all full speed ahead. So even though we had talked about it 6 to 8 months before COVID, now that's where the plan carefully happens. Some things are out of our control, but the numbers were going better. The numbers weren't in reach. The numbers weren't in range. The country is pretty much, the states have been, people still have the options with masks and all that, but just people felt more comfortable coming out and seeing people and being in the company of other people. So we had to stay the course in spite of all the obstacles. And I'm about, let's get it done. What happened? What do we need? How much more money? What has happened? And I'm all about getting it done. So number 1, count up the cost. Number 2, plan accordingly. Number 3, stay the course. And then number 4, go for it. You eventually have to either be all in or turn around and stop. And so I'm usually all go for it. So because we conquered every obstacle, we stayed the course, we planned carefully, we counted up the cost, I could truly say it was worth it. Well worth it. Well attended, good flow of traffic, people coming in. It wasn't like it was outside. It was actually inside a venue. So people intentionally got in the cars, got dressed, and came to the event. They strategically came to support and bought multiple books and went from table to table and inquired of every author that was there. It was phenomenal. It was wonderful. We had people walk in off the street, people passing by, saw the sign, the balloons, and came on in who didn't even really know it was there. But because of marketing and promotions and seeing a sign that said something about books, let's go in and see what they got. Inquiring, beautiful day, want to walk around, want to see something new. Even if they didn't buy anything, you now have exposure for something new. So it was worth it. So apply this to your life. What will you risk? Are you still on the fence and have the dream of writing your own book, but you're still waiting and hanging out? Talkwithroyston.com. Let's have a conversation. Some people I talk to all the time, they were like, oh, it's not as much as I thought. Oh my gosh, you make the process so easy. Oh my God. Yeah, but you don't know until you investigate. If I'm inquiring and I'm thinking about doing something and it's out of my budget at the time, I know I got to plan for it. I know I have to save for it. It's like anything else. It's like having a child and they get $5 a week in allowance and the bicycle's $100. They know they got to be on the hustle and grind and do some extra hustle to save for it. And that's always a good process because it makes it well worth it. And you are, very appreciative of what you get when you got to work for it. You got to be on your grind for it. So what will you risk? Will you risk applying for that next job or applying for that promotion? Whether you get it or not, go through the process. We all love a winner and we all love to be successful, but we also have to understand that is a process. I've been through these processes before of doing book festivals in malls and in retreat centers and all of that. I've done all of this before, so it really wasn't strange. It was just, what do they do in Alabama and how do they do it in Montgomery? And what do I need to do for that? Okay. So with that being said, I trust that that helps you as you determine what you will risk and what you won't risk. Coming up at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a risk of live your best life, because that's a part of being a risk taker is living your best life. Hosted by me on envision-radio.com. Heard on these apps: Simple Radio, Audacity Tuner, MyTuner Radio, Radio.garden, Get Me Radio, Media U, and the Google Play Store. Download the free app so that you can have great music and inspirational messages and wonderful programming 24/7 where praise meets talk. My guest today is Miss Stephanie Jackson, and super excited about all what she's doing with the Power of Five. Want to know what it's about? Tune in at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Envision Radio. Live your best life where praise meets talk. And then coming up at 11 a.m., Mr. Spike Davis and Friends, the Spike Davis and Friends show. Tune in for laughs, music, and more. He always has some wonderful new music for us to hear and to be inspired by, as well as some phenomenal guests. Then on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, look for episode number 9 of the Book Business Boss Show, also heard on envisionradio.com. The replays are at the Book Business Boss Podcast.com. If you are interested to support getting books in hand, backpacks and supplies and everything else in the hands of the underserved and underrepresented communities, go to bkroystonfoundation.org. Find out about scholarships and the upcoming scholarship for a nursing student at HBCU is coming up March 15th, 2022. So be on the lookout for that. You still got time to join the Book Business Boss Book Club. The Book Business Boss Book Club.com will be headed. The announcement for the next book will be on March 8th at 6 p.m. I'm sorry. The Book Business Boss Book Club. Join today. It's free. And then last but not least, this past week was the Black Child Book Week. So feel free to go to blackbabybooks.com and see all about the celebrations that happen with Black Child Book Week, as well as go to BK Royston YouTube channel so that you can see all the authors that were there and how you can support them and continue to support Black authors who are writing children's books to impact the world and leave a legacy. So what will you risk? I'm willing to risk a lot. I count up the cost. I plan accordingly and try to plan carefully. But at the end, I go for it because it's worth it. I'm Dr. Julia Royston at BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the coaching community, the Book Business Bosses, where I help you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. Be blessed and have a great week.